Hello again, and welcome to a special Orange Bowl preview edition of the Mack Brown Show. My name is Jones Angel. On the other side of the screen, there's the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown. Man, we have a lot of good stuff to talk about over the next hour or so. We appreciate you being here with us, and the show is brought to you by Reed's Jewelers. Is your home for fine Swiss timepieces, beautiful diamonds, and the world's most luxurious jewelry brands. Reed's Jewelers, trusted with life's moments. And, Coach, what a moment for your team. A terrific season as the Tar Heels closed the year with that dominating win against Miami a couple of weeks ago, 62-26, and earned its first ever bid to the Orange Bowl. Congratulations, and what an honor for your team.
Thank you, Jones. I'm so proud. From 2 wins 2 years ago to the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's an unbelievable accomplishment. I told our team and I told our staff that the other day. And in fact, I base a lot of things of history with our team on my age. I told them even I wasn't alive the last time. And they thought, oh, my gosh, that's been a long time. I was born in 51. We went in 50, so I was close, but not quite there. So it's a very, very exciting time for our program moving forward. It's an exciting time for our fans. Our players are pumped. The obvious elephant in the room, Jones, is the 4 guys that aren't playing. And people have asked me a lot about what's different from the time you left to the time you got back. Well, this is new for me. I've never had a player not play in a bowl game.
Yeah.
So it's just new and it's different. So I've had to go through an up and down emotional process myself to try to figure it all out. And here's what I think when I look back at the last 2 weeks. Number one, I'm disappointed they're not playing. They're disappointed they're not playing because they've earned it. They wanted to play. Our team's disappointed that they're not playing. Our fans are disappointed. So it's a tough thing. And then the second part of that you look at is our job when we get here is to take over the program that Coach Fedora had and try to help those guys get at a better place in their life so they can improve and be ready for life after college football. And bringing young guys in, bringing recruits in, try to help them get their degree and get themselves to have more options when they get ready to get through. And these 4 guys have done that. They've done everything we've asked. They've stayed out of trouble. They've acted right. They've been great leaders. They're 4 of our best players. I mean, we'll be going to the Orange Bowl without 2 captains, 2 most valuable players, 1 on offense and 1 on defense, and our leading receiver. But at the same time, Coach Gillespie has taken Javonte Williams from 2 years ago, where he was a goal line and short yardage back, to being one of the more highly drafted backs in the country. You start looking at De'Ami Brown. He's gone from an inconsistent catcher that didn't have great confidence to one of the best receivers in the country. Chaz Surratt may be the best story in college football over the last 2 years. Tommy Thigpen's taken a quarterback that had never played at linebacker, and now he's one of the top linebackers on the draft board. And Michael Carter's a guy that when I was at ESPN, I said, I hope number 8's back. He's really good. And Michael's much better today than he was 2 years ago. So our job is to help our players get better options. And we've done that. I applaud this coaching staff. I applaud these kids. And then the last thing we've got to be careful of, Jones, is our job is to educate them on their options that are available. They make decisions that's best for their family. Just like any assistant coach that leaves, we could have a coach leave the day before the bowl game because it was best for him. Any head coach that makes a decision to leave. Any person out there, all of our fans that have a better option for their life and their family, they're going to take it. And they're going to move forward. So we've got to applaud these 4 guys and make sure that we appreciate all they've done, because we wouldn't be in the Orange Bowl without them.
Right.
And then with them leaving, what we've got is some unexpected openings that there's some other guys now that got to step up. Guys been saying, I should be playing more. Well, okay, man, you got your chance now on Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Coach, I think specifically at the running back position, you're going to have a totally different look for that bowl game at that spot. Have you given thoughts? Have those discussions begun about how you're going to handle that position in this game?
Well, we thought Javante was going to play, so we weren't changing anything. And then before Saturday's practice, about an hour before our meeting, he walked in and said he wasn't going to play. So we're in the process right now of trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
We got to start over because you've got British Brooks, you've got Josh Henderson, you've got Elijah Green, because DJ Jones would have been a guy playing and he broke his ankle. So those will be your three backs. And they're also, two of those guys are your best special teams players. So now you got to take them off special teams because you can't wear them down during the game when they got to be the back. And then you've got Eugene Asante was another great special teams player. He'll be taking Chaz Surratt's place. So right now, Jones, we're staying up really late at night trying to figure all this out as a coaching staff, and that's our job.
Right.
Our job is to take what we've got available and try to do the best we can against the other team.
Coach, let me take a few steps back to when you guys learned about the Orange Bowl berth. How did your team receive the information, and what was their reaction?
Well, Jeremy Sharp, our director of communications, did a good job we had a team meeting while they were announcing the January 6 bowls. And we knew we were in. The players didn't know we were in. They thought we were in. So we turned on TV and said, right in the middle of our meeting, we stopped the meeting, we turned on TV and said, okay, let's see where we're going and see who we're playing. And they just screamed and shouted like a bunch of excited kids that you can imagine. I've never seen a more excited bunch when they got the Military Bowl last year. And we had a blast. The Military Bowl people treated us great. DC was fun. We played well. We beat a good Temple team. I think that had won 8 games or something. But this is big, and we told our guys, this is the beginning. This isn't the end. We want to be in the playoffs. We want to be in the January 6 bowl mix. So this is who we want to be. We're going to be playing 3 top 10 teams in the last 4 games.
Yep.
So this is going to show us. We were in the neighborhood for 3 quarters against Notre Dame, then we moved out. And then Miami, we jumped on. They didn't have a good day, so they didn't play as well, but that was a great win over a top 10 team. Now we got number 5 that's a whole lot like Notre Dame. So this will be a great challenge for us, especially with a large part of our guys not going to be there.
Coach, the last time that most Tar Heel fans saw your team, it was wrapping that game up against Miami. What has been going on with your group in total since that victory over the Hurricanes?
Jones, so many teams have decided to opt out of bowl games that are eligible. And this team has never blinked. They have worked hard. They've done everything that we've asked them to do. They went home for a week after the Miami game and came back in and had no positive COVID test. So I'm really, really proud of the discipline, the attitude. They've been good about the 4 guys that aren't playing. They've said, hey, just opportunities for others, Coach. We got more guys on scholarship. Let's go, man. So we've worked really, really hard. We're taking today off, and then we'll have a normal week of practice leading up until the Saturday night Orange Bowl. We'll go down there Thursday afternoon. So we'll be there Thursday night, all day Friday, and all day Saturday, and then head back home on Sunday. So it's not like a normal bowl, but it is a game, and it's a bowl game. And you don't go to bowl games to get all the experiences as much as you do to have another opportunity to play as a team. And this will be the last game that this team will ever play together.
So we've got a lot to do over the next hour or so. We will briefly look back at that victory over Miami. What a performance that was by the Tar Heels a few weeks ago. We'll preview the matchup with Texas A&M. We have questions to get to as well from Tar Heel fans. For Coach Brown, we're going to talk signing day. Don't forget, Tar Heels signed a top 15 national class. We need to talk about that as well. So a lot to do here on the Mack Brown Show. Stay put. We'll be back after this. It's all coming your way from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the Mack Brown Show. He's the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown. My name is Jones Angel. We are previewing the Orange Bowl today, Carolina and Texas A&M. Coach referenced this first major bowl for the Tar Heels since 1950. That was a Cotton Bowl appearance against Rice 70 years ago. We'll get to the matchup with the Aggies coming up in just a little bit, but wanted to take a look back quickly at Carolina's last action a few weeks ago, the 62-26 win against Miami in the very same stadium down in Miami Gardens, Florida, where the Tar Heels will be for the Orange Bowl. Let's take a look at some of the champions of the gridiron that day, brought to you by UNC Healthcare, dedicated to caring for champions of all kinds and to help keep you in the game. See their lineup at unchealthcare.org/sports. And, of course, you remember Carolina ran wild that day. Michael Carter, 308 yards, 2 touchdowns. Javonte Williams, 236 yards, 3 touchdowns. The 544 combined yards, an NCAA single-game FBS record. The 308 for Michael, the second highest rushing total in Carolina history. Derek Finner had 328 against Virginia right before Coach Brown's first tenure began in Chapel Hill. That was back in 1986. The 3 touchdowns for Javonte Williams gave him now 22 on the year. That is a Carolina single-season record. Both Carter and Williams over 1,000 yards for the season, 5th time in Carolina history in which 2 backs have gone over 1,000. First time since Coach Brown was here, and Curtis and Leon Johnson did it in 1993. Also, it's so funny, kind of got lost, De'Ami Brown, 167 yards on 4 catches. That's just about 42 yards per catch, not bad, including a long of 87 yards. So, Coach, that day, and I know the Tar Heels have moved past it or focus on A&M now, but 778 yards of offense, 554 on the ground. The 778, a school record, the 554 just 1 yard off a school record for rushing. What an incredible offensive day that was down in Miami Gardens, Florida.
Jones, it really was, and it does seem like 2 months ago.
Yeah, forever.
I mean, it has been forever. But we're really, really proud of the guys. Miami's very talented. De'Aaron King was playing as one of the top quarterbacks in the country. They'll have their bowl game this week with Oklahoma State. Top 10 team on the road. We hadn't played real well on the road at times, and we were really physical, and that was the key to this football game. When you can run the ball like we did in that game, everything else works, and we were able to stop the run, and that's what football's about. So really, really proud of the guys, proud that they played for 60 minutes. They didn't let up. And I think this should give our program so much confidence moving forward that that's who we want to be. And definitely the first time all year that all 3 phases contributed at a very high level.
De'Aaron King finished with 239 yards passing, 53 yards rushing. Carolina did a nice job containing him. He, of course, a terrific player, as Coach mentioned. Sam Howell, meanwhile, a touchdown rushing, a touchdown receiving, and a touchdown pass. Not a bad day for Sam there, Coach.
Not a bad day for Sam. I told him we're not going to move him to receiver, even though he did stretch his arms out to make a good catch.
That was a great catch on that play, no doubt. Toe Groves has 2 touchdown passes, both to Sam Howell in his career. Coach, you mentioned the amount of quality opponents that Carolina is playing here down the stretch of the season, Notre Dame, then Miami, and, of course, Texas A&M coming up. I'd be interested in your opinion. How much did that Notre Dame game help your team get ready for the moment that was the Miami game, and just the fact that they had seen another really good team a couple weeks before?
Jones, I think it really helped us. The more great teams we play, it shows how far off we are from being that caliber. And we were toe-to-toe with Notre Dame for 3 quarters, and at that time they were the number 2 team in the country, and now they're number 4 and in the playoff. But I think it really helped us at Miami to understand this is big-time ball now.
Yeah.
There's can't fumble it, can't have penalties, got to have your pads low. It's going to be a physical battle and fight, and it's fun to have that same challenge with A&M. And even more so with our guys, our 4 guys, top guys not going to be there. Time for us to step up. Let's don't use excuses. Let's don't talk about what we don't have. Let's continue to coach hard and play hard and be the best program that we can be.
Coach, last thing about that day, and then we'll take a break and start getting to some questions from Carolina fans. Yeah, just in talking to you on the radio network after the game, I think a lot of people saw Michael Carter's interview with Maria Taylor on ESPN after the game as well. It just felt like a joyous moment for your program and just so many guys excited about what they had accomplished. I know you've been a part of a lot of big wins and championships, but I would have to imagine that that was one of the more fun post-game locker rooms that you've been a part of.
It was, and the reason it was, more than anything else, it's a top 10 team that we have great respect for, that's well coached, that has tremendous players, and we were able to get a big win over them at their place. And that's so far from even the opening game with Syracuse last year, or going back another year to our Wake Forest and Appalachian State back-to-back losses. We're just starting to get better as a program and a team. And I told the guys, even with the national championship game or a couple of Rose Bowl wins, in that locker room that night, I felt as good about that team as I've ever felt about any team that I've ever coached. And it was just a proud moment for me, our staff, our players, and I know our fans.
It was a terrific day for the Tar Heels, of course, and now they look forward to Texas A&M. We will as well here on the show. Plus, we have a bunch of questions for the head coach of the Tar Heels from you that we will start getting to. That all comes up after this. It's the Mack Brown Show from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the Mack Brown Show. Carolina on the way to the Orange Bowl to face Texas A&M. It is Saturday night at 8 o'clock. We'll be on the air at 7 p.m. radio-wise. Also later this week, be on the lookout. We have a big Orange Bowl preview show coming up that we'll be streaming for you on all the Go Heels media channels. Looking forward to bringing that to you later in the week as well. This show is brought to you by Reed's Jewelers, your home for fine Swiss timepieces, beautiful diamonds, the world's most luxurious jewelry brands as well. Reed's Jewelers, trusted with life's moments. Of course, all ACC teams were announced a couple of weeks ago. Carolina first team, De'Ami Brown, Michael Carter, and Chaz Surratt. Sam Howell and Javonte Williams named to the second team. Michael Carter and Joshua Izudu on the third team. And then several Tar Heels also making the honorable mention list. Brian Anderson, the Tar Heel center, Tamon Fox, Marcus McKeithen, Trey Morrison, Daz Newsome, Jordan Tucker, and Ray Vohasek. Congratulations to all those guys for being honored as one of the best at their positions in the ACC. Coach, let's get to some questions, and this one comes from Dwight is where we'll start. He said it was evident that Carolina was playing with great chemistry as evidenced by the big win in Miami. He said, how do you try and ignite that same energy now that you'll have some new players stepping into some very important roles that were filled by others during the season?
Dwight, it's a good question, and one we're actually trying to figure out because none of us have been in this position before, and it's not chemistry as much as it is leadership, because the four guys that aren't playing were leaders in their position room. They were leaders on the field. They gave our team great confidence for different reasons at different time. So what we've got to do now is different guys just have to step up. So the young secondary guy has to step up. Jeremiah Gimmel's a tremendous leader. So we only lose Chaz on defense. So we're losing a great player, but we still should have a lot of great players on defense that have stepped up. Will hurt us in special teams because a lot of the guys that are top special teams players will now be ever down players. But offensively, it's on Sam to step up. Offensive line's really good. I told the team the other day, all these guys that helped us rush for over 3,000 yards are going to play. So, man, let's understand, we've got good players. It's just time for different guys to step up. And we'll have to figure out this week who do we take and try to really make them the guy this week, or make a couple of the guys the guy this week, since we don't have three of the top leading performers on our offense.
Coach, you referenced this a little bit earlier, but Josh sent this question in just about the bowl game experience and whether or not this, in your opinion, was just kind of like a regular road game for your team. You said you are going down a little bit earlier than maybe you traditionally would for a road game, but not your traditional bowl experience, correct?
No, Josh, it is different. You normally go a week in advance. We're going down Thursday for a Saturday game, and it'll be Thursday afternoon. The guys will get to walk on the beach a little bit on Friday because we're staying right on the beach in Fort Lauderdale. They still get their bowl gifts, which is cool. They're still in the Orange Bowl, which is cool. That's hard to get to, and there's only 2 teams a year that get to do that, and especially the January 6th games, and we'll be part of all of that. But they also get 10 extra days of practice. That if hopefully we'll have spring practice, but if there's some reason like last year we can't, a lot of young players have gotten better over this span of time from the Miami game until now. So it's still a really, really good experience, even though they won't get to hang out in Miami like they thought they would the first day that this was announced.
Coach, actually, Liz sent in a question about those bowl practices, and she asked, are they more preparing for the upcoming opponent? Is it more getting young guys a lot of extra reps? How do you manage those extra practices?
Liz, it's a great question, and the answer is yes and yes. Number one, you take the young guys and you work them really hard like a spring practice, because you're trying to teach them more, but you're also trying to figure out who they are, because we've got 12 young guys coming in from a great recruiting class on January 16th. And we'll have a lot of good players out there that are still high school seniors as such, because they're coming in early this spring. But then at the same time, what you're doing with the older ones is preparing for the game and for Texas A&M. So it's pretty much half of the practice is to prepare for the bowl game in A&M, and half of the practice is like a spring practice for your inexperienced players.
Coach, one of those younger players who is going to be getting a lot of extra playing time in this game, someone you mentioned earlier, is Eugene Asante. And Kim sent in an email asking just about Eugene. What type of player is he, and what should Carolina fans expect from him on the field?
Eugene's an excitable player. He's got a lot of energy. He can fly. He's really fast. He'll hit you. To expect him to be able to do everything Chaz Surratt has done would be unfair, because it took Chaz 2 years to get to where he was in the Miami game. But we're excited to watch Eugene play. I mean, he's one of those guys. He's been a special teams guy. He's been a cleanup guy. But he hasn't played in a game that really mattered. And now he's got to do that at the highest level against a rushing attack in A&M with a 225-pound back that's very similar. Their offensive line average is about 325. So they're going to line up and try to run right down our throat. So this will be a real test for Eugene.
We'll preview that matchup with Texas A&M coming up a little bit later in the show. We're going to take a break, come back. We're going to talk some about Carolina's signing class, that top 15 national class that the Tar Heels brought in, plus get to some more questions from you for the head coach of the Tar Heels. It's all coming up on the Mack Brown Show from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the Mack Brown Show. Appreciate you joining us today, no matter how you are listening or watching. My name is Jones Angel. He, of course, is the Hall of Fame head coach of the Tar Heels, Mack Brown, and the show brought to you in part by LS Tractor. Don't let your outside chores or projects cause you to miss any Tar Heel game action this season. Let LS Tractor help make short work of them. That's from normal yard maintenance to larger projects as well. LS Tractor has the machine you need. LSTractorUSA.com. That's the letter L, the letter S, TractorUSA.com, and see the difference. LS Tractor, what's it about for you? Coach, want to get to some more questions for you from Tar Heel fans, but first, of course, signing day, the early signing day, which has become in college football the primary signing day, occurred a few weeks ago. Tar Heels brought in a stellar class, top 15 national class, 18 players, 9 on offense, 9 on defense. I think 12 will be early enrollees for Carolina. Gosh, Coach, just feels like a really high talent and high quality class that you're bringing in.
Yes, Jones, I applaud the coaches in a year with a pandemic where couldn't even get them on campus.
Yeah.
Couldn't even have official visits. For them to hold this class together. We committed them pretty early, most of them. The young people were great. They got on a text chain and they all started talking to each other and getting to know each other. So they made a bad situation better and made it work. And they got to know each other through FaceTime and through Zoom, and instead of having opportunities to be on campus together. 12 of those 18 being in here early is going to be fun and exciting. and it gives them a better chance to play in the fall. So we're going to look like a different team when we walk out there next fall just because of this signing class.
Coach, I believe it is 15 of the 18 signees from the state of North Carolina, and I know this was a very talented and deep group from this state this year, but you came in, you said you wanted to get the best players from the state, and it looks like you did just that.
We were able to do that, Jones, and it's so fun we have our footprint from D.C. to Atlanta, but we're going to take the best players in North Carolina that fit our place. And after that, we're going to go to Virginia, we're going to go to South Carolina and Georgia, and we're going to try to get the best players in those states too. So really like our staff recruiting this area, really like who we are and where we're headed, and we've also already got a great start on 22 with recruits. So recruiting's working, and whether we like it or not, you've got to coach them well, but if you don't have good players, you can coach an average player, and you usually coach him up really good and have an average team.
Coach, were there any particular goals as far as on the field from this class? I know you said you want the best players in this state and all those different things. When you were trying to build this class, were there specific positions or anything that were specific goals for you in this class? I
think replace the great guys we're losing on offense. So you look at the two running backs. You got Camaro Edwards and Caleb Hood.
Yep.
They're both 220-pound guys, 225-pound guys that can run a lot like Javonte. You start looking at the receivers. We're losing Daz. We're losing Diami. Next year we'll lose Bo for sure. May lose some others. So you got three good receivers that are coming in. We've got our offensive line intact for next year. Maybe even have them all for 2 more years. You'll have most of them. But you got to start rebuilding that young offensive line. That's where we've said our depth isn't as good right now at that position. Just continue to get the big guys up front on defense, and we've been able to do that. I like who we're bringing in. Young linebackers, the 2 young linebackers that will be here in January can really fly. And people forget Tony Grimes would be in this class, Jones, which would have made it a top 10 class for sure. But we've just got to keep gaining depth and experience at each position so we don't have to play people so many snaps during a game.
Coach, actually, we had a question about Tony Grimes. It was from a different Tony who asked this question, wanting to know just what kind of steps Tony Grimes has taken through this year to go from someone who was playing on special teams at the beginning of the season to now one of your starters in the secondary.
Tony, Coach Bly and Coach Bateman have done an outstanding job of bringing him along slowly. He was not as strong as some of the other guys, being a high school senior, never going through an off-season program, never having a spring practice. He's trying to guard a different level of receiver now than he did in high school. So he really had to learn a lot of things, even though he was well coached and his dad's a coach. But we promised his dad that we wouldn't throw him out there too early and let him have a lack of confidence because he might get beat some by these great receivers, and let him earn his time and let him grow and let him mature. And he did all of that, and he played at a really, really high level against Notre Dame and then Western Carolina and Miami.
Yeah, had a big interception in that Miami game for the Tar Heels. Coach, one more to do, and then we'll take a break and preview Texas A&M. This one comes from Dennis. Wanted to know if there is any advantage to Carolina just having a successful game in the exact same stadium that you're going to again for the Orange Bowl. Just any level of familiarity or anything there for having that big success in that same stadium.
Dennis, I think so, because we were on grass there. We play on turf a lot now. We were just in the stadium. They'll have the same amount of crowd there that they had for the Miami game. We've dressed there. We've warmed up there. We will not even have to go to the stadium early and walk through and let them see it and get a feel of the locker room. So I do think it's an advantage that we were there for our last game.
Thank you for good questions all season long, including here on this show. They're brought to you by Cruisers, your fast and friendly local convenience store. Cruisers, let's go. We are going to go to break. Come back. When we return, we'll preview this matchup with Texas A&M. It's the Mack Brown Show from Learfield, IMG College. Welcome back to the Mack Brown Show, brought to you by our friends at Reed's Jewelers, trusted with life's moments. Coach, it is Texas A&M in the Orange Bowl, and Aggies finished this COVID-altered season 8-1, won their last 7 games, including a victory over Florida, finished number 5 in the college football playoff poll. Just an excellent team that the Tar Heels will be seeing down in Miami.
Yes, Jones, I want to applaud Texas A&M for the year they've had. They had their tough game with Alabama like we had with Notre Dame, but they beat Florida, who's one of the best teams in the country, and you have to give them great credit for that. They're so much like Notre Dame when we prepare for them. They're huge on both sides of the line of scrimmage. They're going to be physical. They're going to run the ball. They're going to use play action. They've got a quarterback a lot like Ian Book that makes good decisions. They're not going to turn the ball over. They're huge on defense. And they are not going to let you run the ball up inside. They're going to make you do things outside or throw the ball downfield. So, and obviously Texas team's going to have great team speed. So Jimbo has them built a lot like a pro team in that they're big and they're physical and they'll use play action to isolate receivers one-on-one. Defensively, again, they're going to try to make you throw the ball. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for us. But again, just another opportunity to see how we stand up against a top 5 team. They should be in the playoffs. And we should extend the playoffs to at least 6 or 8 because teams like this that are this good shouldn't be playing in the Orange Bowl unless it's a playoff game. Mm-hmm. So I hope that years like this will let the committee, let the decision makers see that we need to expand that playoff to get more great teams an opportunity.
Coach, you mentioned a couple of the high notes there. Really good rushing team. They're averaging better than 200 yards per game on the ground. And not just a dual-threat quarterback in Kellen Mond, but a veteran one as well. He's a senior, so somebody who's played a lot of football and tends to make really good choices back there at his position.
Yeah, Kellen, that's another reason we think they're so much like Notre Dame. Kellen Mond is so much like Ian Book.
Yeah.
They don't talk about him a lot, and they should, because he's a game manager. He can run, he can throw, he doesn't make poor decisions. He just manages the game for them. And that's why they're so hard to beat.
Carolina and Texas A&M. It's coming up at 8 o'clock on Saturday night. We'll be on the air at 7 p.m. radio-wise for that one. And, again, be on the lookout later in the week. We'll have our Orange Bowl preview show. Looking forward to that with a lot of different aspects to that show to get you ready for Carolina and Texas A&M. Coach, congratulations again on a terrific season. Such an honor to be invited and selected to go play in the Orange Bowl. And now I know your team wants to go down and close things out strong.
Thanks, Jones. They're excited and they're practicing that way.
Carolina and Texas A&M coming up on Saturday night. This has been the Mack Brown Show from Learfield, IMG College.